Greetings, citizens, and thanks for tuning in to Nindie Nation episode 95. I'm Jeff, and if you're new here, welcome. Nindie Nation is your one-stop weekly shop for everything independently developed for the Nintendo Switch. This week, we've got 18 new releases hitting the eShop from December 13th to the 20th, and before our time is up, we'll also run through the best eShop deals of the week so you can find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced. New episodes of Nindie Nation post to YouTube on Tuesday, alongside the podcast feed hosted by our friends at the Nintendo Village. On Fridays, we have a 5-minute or less video covering the weekend's best deals, and Thursdays are reserved for the Nindies at Night stream. To keep up with the schedule or just chat about video games, follow us on Twitter at Nindie Nation. Last week, I was all thrown off because we usually have at least a half dozen games that were released without warning since our last episode, and last week we only had 2. This week, I'm even more concerned, or maybe proud, because we've only got 1. So, here's your neglected Nindie that released since episode 94. All I know about the timing for Shady Part of Me was that the trailer popped up on my phone this past Thursday while I was trying to avoid news from the Game Awards, and I had assumed it was announced and released during the show. The game, by a developer whose name you'll have to guess for yourself,
it's listed in the video,
and published by Focus Home Interactive, tells the emotional story of a little girl and her shadow, but the way it does it is a little bit of a kitchen sink. You've got 2 playable characters, tons of puzzles to solve and narrative to unravel, and you can switch between 2D and 3D at will. Pretty cool, innovative stuff if you ask me. And it's definitely got something for those of you who like the spooky stuff, too. At $13.49, it's not a bad risk to take while we wait for more impressions and reviews for Shady Part of Me. You picking it up? Let me know what you think if so. Now it's time to dig into this week's new releases, and we've got some solid titles for just about any kind of gamer. So let's jump right into the 18 new release Nindies hitting the eShop from December 13th through the 20th. On December 14th, the team behind our first game has to be located within a secret base carved out in the side of a mountain because they're called
MINDSCAPE.
And this week, they threw a whole load of puzzles into a $10 game they call Jigsaw Fun Piece It Together. Get it? Piece it together? Look, they're puzzles. You can play with other people. I do like how you can take any of the images and adjust how many pieces there are. That's cool. I guess if digital jigsaw puzzles are your thing, this one's not too bad. So I had an awesome write-up for Grindstone, which was supposed to kick off releases on the 15th, but over the weekend, it apparently went TBD on us. So, kicking off releases on the 15th is Shakes on a Plane. I'm sorry.
I have had it with these
Shakes
on this plane. Everybody strap in.
This looks fun. I mean, it's overcooked, but you're making milkshakes on an airplane. Let's see. Lots of bullet points, but it's all just kind of like...
Yep, that's an overcooked.
It's developed by Assemble Entertainment, who is best known for the Leisure Suit Larry games, and it's $20. We can just add this to the wait for a sale pile of other overcooked likes. But hey, on the same day, yo, this next game looks real cool, and I am definitely not going to play it. It's called Dark Grim Mariupolis, and it's a spooky narrative adventure puzzle game that looks like, okay, bear with me here, an Alfred Hitchcock film, but with grindhouse horror movie colors and a really unsettling Commodore 64 or ZX Spectrum kind of graphics. Says it has confusing, strange music that comes from nowhere. Guess that's what keeps freaking me out about the trailer. Someone needs to play this and tell me if it's good. It's developed by Team Mariupolis, so this must be their first game. And oh, it's published by our friends at
Turnox.
Tell you what, if you want to check this game out, let me know in the comments. No promises, but I'll see if I can get a code or two and we can report back on a future episode. If you are already sold on it though, it's only $5, so it's not a bad one to take a chance on. The last release for Tuesday, December 15th is the first in a series that just recently made its way to the Switch. Boot Hill Heroes is the title releasing this week despite its sequel Boot Hill Bounties releasing earlier this year. Both games are Western-themed traditional JRPGs with attractive pixel art and an attitude that is lighthearted but still tells a great story. Heroes definitely looks older than Bounties, and it features a combat system that is more first-person, similar to the Phantasy Star or Dragon Quest series, but it still looks great, and everyone I know and trust who's currently playing it is really enjoying it. Both games are developed by Experimental Gamer Studios, who also acts as the publisher, and this week's Boot Hill Heroes releases at a perfectly reasonable $9.99. Only one game releases on Wednesday, December 16th, but it should be right up the alley of anyone who enjoys a good old Nindie trifecta. Synthetik Ultimate takes pieces from just about every type of game in the genre and mixes it into a top-down twin-stick shooter about robots and all kinds of future computer stuff. As you'd expect, Synthetik Ultimate features procedurally generated dungeons with roguelike mechanics and RPG elements. The team at Flowfire Games seems to be a fairly new studio out of Berlin, and while this game does seem a little on the lower budget side, I think their scope to include just about everything they can into one game could be a bit much, but for the right player looking for something to really sink their teeth into, it could be pretty rewarding. Synthetik Ultimate and its elements of just about every kind of game in existence will run you $14.99. The big Thursday drop this week is bigger than it's been the last couple of weeks, with 9 titles on deck, and it kicks off with, I don't know what language the first half of this game's title is, but I'm assuming it translates into Abyss of the Sacrifice, which is the port of a PSP game by D3 Publisher for $31.99. There's a bunch of scantily clad anime girls who want to kill each other, and the game is structured as a point-and-click adventure with escape room puzzles as well. Most of what I can gather of the story is absolutely bonkers. The world is exploding, these girls are friends, but then they kill each other, and there's endings that are mostly depressing. Sounds like someone had a rough time in high school. But I'm much more excited about this next release. Big Sugar, who published Slain and Valfaris, launches Unto the End, a really cool-looking cinematic action-adventure for $24.99. If I've learned anything about Big Sugar, it's that they know how to craft an excellent, singularly focused game that's worth its price, but is also usually discounted fairly quickly and fairly frequently. This game follows a Viking-looking dude who must trek through the wilderness to get back to his family, and the movement reminds me of older games like Flashback or even Prince of Persia, but then it has this focused, realistically paced combat that seems a little Dark Soulsy too. The game's artwork is no slouch either, with beautifully simple environments that span the entirety of a mountain range. Unto the End looks to have a compelling but simple story, challenging platforming, and thoughtful encounters. And while we haven't seen reviews for it yet, I have a feeling that we'll be talking about Unto the End quite a bit in the future. Oh hey, we've got a new publisher. They're called Dai, and their first release is Traditional Tactics NE+. Oh, here we go. Dai says,
This is a turn-based simulation RPG. You and enemy take turns playing like chess. Move your units on the map and beat the enemy to clear each stage. The rules of the game are so simple that you can understand easily, and there are many features for beginners.
Oh man, grammar check is lighting up like a Christmas tree here. They continue.
You can do save at any time, but it's never easy to complete all stages, so you should remember that. The most important thing is,
quote,
thinking carefully.
And then it says both English and Japanese languages are available, but that's probably going to depend on your definition of English. The game, whatever it was called, Traditional NE plus something or other, is $9.99. And you have got to be kidding me. But Dead Drop Studios has another Outbreak game this week with Outbreak Lost Hope for $11. Now, these games look decent and have been well received, but I swear, this team was like,
Hey, remember Resident Evil 4?
Yeah, that game was awesome.
Hey, I have an idea. Let's make a game just like it.
I've got a better idea. Let's make a shitload of games like it.
because this is like the 5th or 6th game in the series we've covered in the last month or two alone. This one's about a mom searching for her daughter, but all I can see is a woman blowing shit up with a rocket launcher. I wonder if this is the last we've heard of the Outbreak series this year. It has to be, right? Right? Another publisher we've yet to see on the Switch is Zero Uno, and this week they release Defintron for $8.99. It's a top-down, pretty standard fare tower defense game with an 80s synthwave neon aesthetic, and it looks fine? Probably not $9 fine, though. I'd love to see the back of the box quote.
Nindie Nation says Defintron is...
Fine?
Fans of strategy or tactical RPGs, especially those of you who love the series like Final Fantasy Tactics or Trails in the Sky, should really check out the Mercenaries series if you haven't yet. They're not quite the level of quality of those two series, but hey, it talks the talk and walks the walk and it quacks like a duck. How does that saying go? Anyways, Mercenaries Blaze, Dawn of the Twin Dragons releases this week, and if that isn't the name of a JRPG, I don't know what is. This entry is the 5th to release on the Switch, and is one of the first in a while to make some big changes to the formula. They added 3D battle maps and seriously overhauled the visuals and audio. The series is developed by Rideon and published by Circle Entertainment, and I'm pretty sure this entry stands alone, so unlike the MCU, you don't have to go back and watch 26 movies just to understand what happens in Avengers Endgame. And that's good, because I'm never gonna watch that many movies. Mercenaries Blaze, Dawn of the Twin Dragons is available on December 17th for $19.99. And the evil overlords at
MINDSCAPE
have opened the force field guarding their secret mountainside lair once again to unleash Yum Yum Line for $7.99, and it is a match 5 puzzle game. Pretty weak for such a nefarious organization. They can't even put freaking laser beams on freaking sharks. And before I can even finish that joke, they are releasing another game this week. They really are evil. What's this one? Gems of Magic Lost Family. Oh, it's Bejeweled, and it's $10. It's got characters that, you remember that commercial for some kind of allergy medicine that had little boogers with eyes? I think it was Mucinex. It looks like those guys are the stars of this game. All right, Mindscape, that's enough. Go home. I need a good publisher to cleanse my palate. And what better time to introduce this week's title, published by No Gravity Games. This is the next release by Empyrean, who developed House Flipper, and, I thought Ultimate Games published House Flipper. Interesting. Anyways, the last release on the big Thursday drop is Body of Evidence for $9.99, and it looks like a whole lot of fun. You play as the cleaner, think Jules from Pulp Fiction, in a sepia-tone, low-polygon world inspired by Tarantino films. And your job is to clean up a murder scene within a time limit before your boss is caught red-handed. You're dumping dead bodies, cleaning up blood stains, the whole 9 yards, and just like its inspirations, the game looks chock full of dark humor. I bet this would make a funny game to stream. And at $10, it looks like yet another solid release from No Gravity Games. And on Friday, December 18th, we've got 4 games to round out the week. The first of which is Shikaku Shapes for $2.49 by Hook Games, and son of a bitch, didn't they just release this game last week? Now, Robot Gentleman is a fantastic name for an indie developer, if I do say so myself. And this week, they are remastering a title that I absolutely loved, and if you're in the right quirky mood for it, I think 60 Seconds Re-Atomized could be my personal pick of the week. First of all, you're seeing a trailer if you're watching this on YouTube, but I'd encourage you to pause the video and go watch the actual trailer for yourself because it is hilarious. So, 60 Seconds is all about the 1950s world of living in fear of the nuclear apocalypse, with a premise that is almost identical to the witty charm of the Fallout series. In this game, however, you start by getting a 60-second warning to gather all supplies around your house as fast as possible and drop all of them, including your family, into your shelter. From there, the game plays out one day at a time with you basically making decisions on how to ration supplies, send family members on scavenging missions, and just lasting as long as possible before you emerge. Along the way, every single terrible thing that happens to you and your family plays out in the funniest ways. And even though this game looked decent enough when it released on PC in 2015, the new remaster makes all of the zaniness that unfolds even funnier. I love this game. It's $10 and it might be a bit of a one-trick pony, but it'll make you laugh, it'll get you thinking, and it does one of my favorite things in video games, where every mistake you make, everything you screw up, is always fun to see because of how your failures create even more ridiculous scenarios that you pretty much just have to deal with. If you want a game that you can play mostly at your own pace, and you're looking for something to lift your mood a bit, 60 Seconds Re-Atomized for $10 is a great pick. Okay, next we've got a point-and-click adventure with hand-drawn watercolor visuals and elements of spooky magic tomfoolery. That must mean it's by Artifex Mundi and... Hold the phone. After weeks of asking, nay, months of asking, Christopher Bradford took to the YouTube comments to share that he has played Artifex Mundi games and he thinks that they are, quote, great for some mindless playtime for a while. So thanks for the feedback, Christopher. This week's Artifex Mundi release is Dark Arcana the Carnival, and you play as a detective who flip-flops between two dimensions inside a carnival of horrors. Sounds like a big nope on premise alone for me, and $15 always seems a bit too steep for these games, but it's good to know that they are at least decent titles for what they aim to accomplish. Thanks again for the feedback, Christopher. Nindie Nation appreciates you. As usual, the last new release of the week is from Ratalaika, and since we got a visual novel last week, that means this week we'll get a more traditional, game? Freddy Spaghetti is this week's $5 Ratalaika release, and it's a physics platformer where you play as a sentient spaghetti noodle. You basically rope physics your way around a world to complete challenges and engage in general physics-based shenanigans. And get this, the team who developed Freddy Spaghetti? They're called Playful Pasta. Well played, team. Well played indeed. Anything jumping out at you? That's a pretty good lineup this week with 60 Seconds, Dark Grim, Boot Hill Heroes, Unto the End, and Synthetik Ultimate really standing out to me. There seems to be something for just about everyone, so if you plan on picking any of these up, let me know. If you're shopping for deals on Nindies, you may have noticed the Black Friday deals have all now expired. But never fear, citizens, because there are still 299 indies currently on sale, and the Game Awards have given us some great deals on a few all-time Nindie greats. So let's check out some of the best Nindie deals currently available on the eShop through at least December 20th. So, real quick, there's a bunch of games that are on sale that are really good and at their lowest price ever, but they expire on December 18th. So if you've had any of the following on your wish list, I would say now is the time to buy them. Untitled Goose Game, Carry On, Katana Zero, My Friend Pedro, Wargroove, and Streets of Rage 4 are all fantastic games that you should definitely check out, but they expire before everyone will have time to listen to this, so we'll just move on to your cheap impulse buy recommendation of the week, which is The Legend of Elena Temple at 80% off for $1.99. This is a simple puzzle platformer, usually taking place one screen at a time, with visuals that are throwbacks to everything from an Apple IIe to a Commodore 64 to all of the different Game Boys. It's simple, but just the right level of challenging, and there's a ton of game here for just $1.99. The game that I hope most of you buy this week is Iconoclasts. It's one of the best Metroid-style exploration platformers you'll find. It has awesome music, gorgeous pixel art, and leans a little harder into puzzles than other games in this genre. Check it out while it's 60% off for just $7.99, and listen closely because I will definitely use some music from Iconoclasts in this week's episode. Love that soundtrack. And winning the award for one of the most beautiful modern games, period, is the side-scrolling action-adventure Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, which is a whopping 63% off for $14.79. Yeah, I know, it's a pricier game, but this is much lower than we've seen it before. If you like the Shantae games or just 2D adventures in general, you can't go wrong here, and Monster Boy is pretty big as well, so you're gonna get your money's worth out of it. Seriously, Monster Boy is one of the best indies on the Switch. Don't miss this one. With the Game Awards just last week, Ghosts and Goblins had a moment in the spotlight, so I fired up Super Ghouls and Ghosts over the weekend, and the whole time I was just thinking, man, Battle Princess Madelyn really ruined this series for me. And you can see why, as Battle Princess Madelyn Royal Edition is currently a staggering 75% off for only $3.74. It's the tried and true side-scrolling action of the Ghosts and Goblins series, but in an open-ended world with all kinds of progression and story elements that just make it an excellent time all around. If you've got a daughter, this is a great one to show a little girl. I know mine loved watching me play through it. And here's one that not nearly enough people have played, a hidden gem, if you will. Earth Atlantis tells the story of an Earth underwater where you're a scavenger hunting creature-machine hybrids in a game that plays a lot like a side-scrolling shmup, but it's almost a mix of an adventure with some Monster Hunter mechanics thrown in. It's got this really neat old-timey map art style, and I think it got overlooked when it released way back in 2017, so I'm gonna say while it's 77% off, you should definitely consider giving it your $3.44. And finally for the week is another game that I don't think enough people have played, and every single time I recommend it on Nindie Nation, someone pops up and tells me how they have completely fallen in love with it. The Way Remastered is a side-scrolling cinematic puzzle platformer about a spacefaring explorer who lost his loved one and is searching the galaxy to unlock the ancient secrets of eternal life. What's really cool about this is that the remastered version basically took 5 years of player feedback and upgraded the visuals, added a ton of voiceover, orchestrated the soundtrack, and added a bunch of improvements overall to make the game more streamlined. It's about a 6-hour story that'll really tug on your heartstrings, and I think if you're in the mood to settle in for a good story, you should check out The Way Remastered while it's 87% off for $199. Man, now I'm in the mood to play Earth Atlantis again. There are a few monsters I still need to hunt down, I guess, so I can go back to it. Let me know if you pick up Earth Atlantis or anything else we discussed today on Nindie Nation in the YouTube comments or on Twitter at Nindie Nation. Also, I know that we've had a lot of new listeners and viewers lately, so welcome to all of you and feel free to provide your feedback. I'd love to hear how you think we can make Nindie Nation better. Other than that, it's time for promo time. New episodes of Nindie Nation post on Tuesdays to YouTube, and the podcast feed is hosted by our friends at the Nintendo Village. So go check out their daily articles, reviews, videos, and more all in one place at thenintendovillage.com. Don't forget we stream most Thursday nights, and every Friday we post a quick video highlighting our favorite deals of the week. But the best way to keep in touch with all of our updates is to follow us on Twitter at Nindie Nation. I'm really looking forward to talking about the entire Bit Trip series, which all drops at the end of next week. And I mean, as we get close to Christmas, who isn't excited for the potential of eShop points in their stocking? I know I am. But that's all for next week as we near the Christmas season, and we're all done for this week. Thanks for checking out Nindie Nation today, and remember, if you want to help us grow, the best way to do that is to like the video, subscribe if you're one of the 60% of viewers who haven't, and if you've got a friend with a Switch and they're looking for something to play, send them our way. I am very much looking forward to wrapping up the year with all of you citizens, and we're just a couple of weeks away. But until then, I'm Jeff, this has been Nindie Nation episode 95, and remember, no matter what kind of game you're looking for, Nindie Nation will be right here to help you find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced.